Hello there, survivors, and today we're looking at the best build locations on Astraeos for ARK Survival Ascended, and we're specifically taking a look at the second giant region that has been added to the map. If you want to see some base locations on the original island of Astraeos, I've got a video up on that as well. Today, we're taking a look at this beautiful new region, which of course includes the new bog and the Wyvern Trench, a similar region to the one we already had with the beautiful white cliffs, but with some cool new POIs, and of course, the beautiful black cliffs with the taiga and the autumn biome, which are absolutely stunning. As always, if you enjoyed these videos, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get into some beautiful base build locations. And we've got to start out at one of the most unique locations that is on this map, which is the autumn biome. It's absolutely beautiful here with the orange trees, and there is a bunch of cool build locations in this area, and probably my favorite aesthetic of the new region that has been added. And this one right here on top of the cliff could be a really cool tactical position because it's easy to close off your entrance to this cliff, but it is still quite flat, so easy to build a big base on for you and your teams to be safe and not be bothered with everything that spawns in this region, because they can be a little bit annoying with all the direwolves, UTs, Carnos, etc. Yeah, it's definitely a really cool spot, and of course being on the cliff makes it quite easy. You just block off the entryway, and that means you kind of are safe to go, and especially as soon as you start building here, blocking all the spawns, it should be very safe to live up here with your teams. All the whilst while having an amazing view of the rest of this autumn biome. There's some white trees and some statues and ruins here in the surrounding area. You can see Mount Olympus as well. And of course, you still have a good view of the original region of Astraeos as well. So yeah, it's definitely a very nice location to live at. And it's located right here on the map. We're still sticking around here in the autumn biome, and this location is quite cool. It's a little bit more difficult maybe to build on because of all the differences in height and terrain, but these waterfalls do look really nice, and there's some smaller platforms here that you could definitely incorporate into a bigger base build, and you'd have such a cool spot here with those waterfalls streaming around. If you maybe connect it with some bridges, etc., I think you could build a really cool base. Now, you still have the beautiful autumn biome around you. You've got this nice valley below as well. Of course, plenty of water, but you're also like half in the taiga, so you kind of get best of both worlds. And of course, you've got this beautiful little temple that is right above you, as well as a nice point of interest, or just, you know, nice part of your base, depending on how big you want to build here. But yeah, definitely a very pretty spot, and it's located right here on the map. Now, I absolutely love the autumn biome. That should not be a surprise, but this is probably my favorite spot in it. As you can see, there's a lovely little river here, middle of the autumn forest. There's even some blossom trees here as well as an added bonus, but mostly it's just this autumn vibe that I really enjoy. We've got a lot of those orange plants, which I just love the look at, and then this little river. It's just a very peaceful place to build your base at. It's also relatively flat area, so it's not too difficult to turn this into a base. You've got some nice roads leading off in the rest of the biome. You got some waterfall view and Mount Olympus right next to you, but also waterfall down here to the rivers, the bigger river here and the big flatland out as well. So yeah, it's definitely a really nice and cool location to build at, and it's located right here on the map. Now, speaking of Mount Olympus, this is actually a really cool build location because there's a bunch of these flat platforms all the way around the mountain on your way up to it. So wherever you go, there's some good spots to build on. There's some amazing waterfalls on this side, And then if you like, you could even go onto the Mount Olympus builds themselves and turn some of those pre-building structures into your base quite easily. There is actually also some spots where you could add your own build, which is quite nice in my opinion. Like some pretty good locations that you could turn in to a unique base spot for sure, but a lot of pre-built things as well that are quite easily turned into a base without having to build too many things yourself. So whether you just don't really like building and you want a quick base, it would be a really good spot. It's the highest point on the map, so with gliders this would be amazing to glide all over the world with like a rock drake or whatever. But yeah, it could be a really cool build location. But if you want to build some more stuff yourselves, as I said, there's plenty of like little platforms all the way around the mountain on different layers that really would allow you to build some cool bases with still some amazing views, like places like this, you know, located around these coordinates if you're wondering. And yeah, there's some really cool flat spots for you to build various cool bases on and around this Mount Olympus. And then this one is quite unique. This is a very big kind of plains taiga area where you can see there's a lot of relatively flat ground here, which is screaming for like a big project. You've got the beautiful autumn biome right next door. You've got the Mount Olympus mountain where you can sometimes catch a glimpse of the homes of the gods. There's waterfalls in the areas. There's the little snow corner as well, quite close. It's just a really cool location. Actually quite pretty, especially I like these blue and purple flowers that are in some spots around it. But of course, most importantly, it's just a quite flat spot, which means it's really good for builders. If you enjoy building, there's a lot of space here to build some cool things for yourself, and all while having a pretty cool surrounding area as well. These are the coordinates. It's all up in the corner. That is probably the biggest downside, especially with the future in mind. You are a little bit in the corner of the world, but having this much space might be worth it. And then we've actually arrived at the first cave build location for this video, and it's actually right in the Mount Olympus, or at least it's a little bit further down, but it's a pretty good spot. Actually, right in front of the entrance, as you can see, you've got some pretty good layers as well, so you could add a little build in front of it, located right here, by the way, if you're looking to find this entrance. And as you can see, you've got a pretty decently sized cave in here that you could turn into your personal build and your personal base with, yeah, a pretty cool location. You even have a second entrance on this side, which of course could be quite convenient. And you've got a little water pool that actually has deep access back into the ocean. So I don't know what could fit through this little corridor. I think quite a bit should fit through it. But yeah, you kind of enter and leave it all the way out here. So yeah, you could also go back into the ocean, which means that basically this cave could be a really cool base location. Quite easy to get safe, of course, closing off the entrances. You would have to spawn proof it because, as you can see, there's some nasties spawning here. But once you start building, this could be a really good spot. You could even do some ocean breeding without having to build too much. Yeah, a very cool, unique locations for those people that love a cave. Maybe like a little dwarven build or whatever could be very cool right here. Now, whilst there are many cool flat-ish locations around this area, especially also here in the Taiga part, connecting the locations we just saw up to the more wide iconic cliffs that we saw in the first region, there is one in particular here that I really like. It's this one quite high up again. It's high cliff, which is always a cool location. You've got this land bridge leading up to it, which is quite cool and also means that it's quite easy to close it off. There's also one road leading up to it. So it's basically just 2 ways to get up to this platform, which means it's easily defendable, but still a very cool location. And it is a perfect spot for like a castle or just any cool base that you want to build on here. And it has some amazing views of your surrounding areas, the valley down there. I think that's the Valley of the Giants. You got the original region, as well as a view, Mount Olympus right next door. You can even see the bog from here. It's a really cool location, quite flat, so easy to build on, but with some amazing views all around you. So yeah, definitely a spot I would recommend, and I do think I will be doing some kind of build here in the future. Yeah, it's a really cool and convenient location, located right here on the map. This is the Valley of the Giants, I believe, or at least it should be called that if it isn't, because you've got some giant statues out here. Very cool, actually, part of the landscape and the terrain. And it's this big green valley with some nice little hills, a beautiful blue river streaming down through it, a little road leading through it as well, leading up to the taiga and darker rocks and the mountainous area around Mount Olympus in the background, but also connecting back up to those more white cliffs locations that are very iconic for Astraeos. Just a really cool area to build at. Again, relatively flat area, so plenty of room here, plenty of locations to build. There's even some pre-built structures here. There's a ruin over here as well. And there's even a stone quarry right on the edge as well. So plenty of points of interest in this valley. And yeah, it's just a really cool location and very convenient to build at. Not too far from the bog if you want to go for some of the swamp creatures, the rhinos, or if you want to go after the wyverns in the Wyvern Trench, which is also located in the bog. And most importantly, just with a ton of space if you want to go all out with building. And this valley is located right around here. Now, I don't really have a specific spot to build here in the bog, but I did want to give it an honorable mention because it is a very nice looking location. And as swamp goes, I think this might be my favorite. It's very pretty. There's actually some ruins here as well that you could rebuild. Of course, it's still a swamp, so it's still quite dangerous. That's why I'm not quite sure where you would want to build your base, but it is very beautiful, so I can definitely imagine some people liking it and maybe wanting to build a base there. And there's probably a bunch of stuff you could do as long as you make sure that your base is well protected because of all the swampy things out here that are living. And then, of course, in the case of Astraeos, it's also the Wyvern Trench right next door, which is definitely not the safest neighbors to have, but it could be quite convenient, of course, and it is a very pretty location, so I did want to give it an honorable mention. If you're brave enough and you want to live in this beautiful magical swamp, the bogs might be the place for you. And the bog is located on the big landmass around here, but as I said, there's not a specific location here. It's quite a big place. Another nice point of interest here in this new region is this temple over here with some amazing layout in front of it. A very nice statue. Actually some flattish land as well if you want to add some of your own builds around here. And of course a pre-built temple, which is quite easy to turn into your base. Just place down foundations, maybe a gate, and you're good to go. Safe to go as well. It's nice and high up, so you've got some really cool views of the bog, for example, the Wyvern Trench, the Mount Olympus in the distance, of course, the Valley of the Giants in the distance. And yeah, just some really nice views high up and a nice cliff with one way up there, so it's quite easy to make it safe and defended as well. Then this bay is actually really cool. First of all, you've got these great statues to kind of enter you into this bay, which is really cool. I could definitely imagine building like a little ocean wall and gate in between this, making sure that the whole bay area is kind of safe and secure. You could do all your ocean breeding in the bay, and then you actually have this really nice piece of flattish land right next to it where you could build an absolutely beautiful and giant base. There's a little river even as well to enjoy the views. And if you like ruins like I do, there's even some Sparta-inspired ruins where you could definitely kick someone in this hole, which would be quite fun to do to your enemies or your tribe mates, you know, whatever you're up to. But yeah, it's quite a nice location, quite close by, but just the bay itself, it's a really cool natural breeding pen for your ocean tames, and these flat areas right next to it just means that you can also have your land base in the same spot, which is always very convenient, of course, because you kind of have best of both worlds right here in one spot, and it's just a very nice and pretty location. And this bay is located right here on the map. And then it's already time for another cave build location. There's actually quite a few of them on this new region, which is awesome if you love to build in some caves. The entrance for this one is located right around these coordinates, and as you can see, you got a nice little entrance that wouldn't be too difficult to secure. You instantly have a little room when you enter. And then if we go further down the path, we actually have a bigger room right here. Quite a lot of space. There is a little bit of uneven area, so you definitely have to work around that. But there's plenty of space here to build a pretty decently sized base. Keep your tames quite safe and, you know, do your breeding in secret in one of these caves. Out of all the caves, though, this is probably the more boring one. Like, it's not very exciting, but if you just want a cave base, quite easily hidden as well, this could definitely be a good spot. And then up next, we have another cave location. This one is actually really nice. It's located right around these coordinates. At least the entrance is hidden here in this little valley, little passageway, and then we can go in here. Got nice pathway going down into the cave with a beautiful area down here. I love this one with the nice little trees. Definitely would try to keep those around. Again, there is some nasties in here, so you probably want to get rid of those once you start building your base down here. But yeah, you do have plenty of space in here to build something really cool. There's only one entrance, so you only need to protect that one to keep your tame safe in here. And you do have a little bit of water here as well, so you could probably get away with a little bit of ocean breeding. There's no actual connection to the ocean, but still, it's a safe spot. You don't have to build a water pen. You kind of already have one, even though it might not be very big. But out of all the caves locations, this one is probably my favorite. And yeah, definitely keep those trees alive if you build here. Like, obviously, those are amazing. Really nice. And yeah, a really cool cave location with a little bit of a hidden entrance to find, but actually a really nice spot. And there's one more cave right over here, which is also pretty nice. It's actually located underneath the temple, which is quite funny. But yeah, it's located right here, these coordinates. There's an entrance here, as you can see. It also fits in some rexes, so it can be dangerous, but it's a pretty nice looking cave, quite spacious as well. So you could definitely build a decently sized base in here. And once again, of course, the advantage being you only have to close up a few entrances and then maybe make sure nothing is spawning in here. But yeah, you do have some nice space. And then on this side, you actually got another little road going down out here. And then you access next to the waterfall. So that's actually quite nice, having this little sneaky way out, which ends up here on the side of the bog and everything. And yeah, you got a nice second entrance into your base should you need to sneak out. And then of course you're right underneath this temple as well. And last but not least, there is this big island that you could definitely turn into a lovely base. Whether you take over the entire island and you claim it for yourself, or you just kind of go from one of the locations. Probably this spot high up is quite nice. There's definitely some decent space here with some flat-ish areas, especially also this part with the land bridge. But overall, there's just a lot of space here. It's a little bit out of the way, of course, still relatively close to the bog and the wyvern trench, but yeah, who doesn't want to have their own island? You have some Greek statues still, but most of all, just of course a lot of access to the ocean, which is of course quite a big part of Astraeos, especially with the future when more areas are opening up. It's quite nice to have access to the ocean, and this island is definitely a very nice one. It's a big location if you want to claim the entire island, but if you need the space, this would definitely be a nice one to claim and build your Greek dream destination on, because there's definitely a bunch of spaces from all the way down here in these little hills to the middle part, all the way up to the platforms here at the top, where you could definitely do some nice builds, whether it's one big build or just multiple builds spread out over the island. And it's all located right here on the map, which is also relatively central, especially once the rest of the map starts opening up. And there we go. Those are my favorite base build location here on Astraeos in the newly added region. As I said, if you're looking for a base location on the original part of the map, I also have a video dedicated to that up on the channel. And of course, if you need inspiration for your builds whilst playing on Astraeos, I've got plenty of builds going up all the time. If you're looking for a server to play on and you want to play this map, I actually host it on my community cluster. Check out the information for joining that over on my Discord. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And then I hope to see you in the next video or stream. Goodbye.